Oh my gosh, Robyn!
It has been so long.
It has.
I think
Tipsy
people
Nerds
probably thought
together
we
again.
I don't know, gave up on everything this year, but we are here and we're so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, we are here. Neither of us, yeah, exactly. I'm having a oh look, it's
Oh
disappeared.
wait.
I'm having a magical drink. That's the
What
problem
is
with
it?
the background. It's actually a hot toddy.
Oh nice, good. It
It's one of
matches
my
the
own.
snow.
Yeah, so my background with the saguaros, with snow, that's not actually happening. It's like 70 degrees here today, but I'm trying to get in the spirit. I'm trying to get festive. It's been
Yeah,
a
the
long,
red scarf, the
yeah,
snowy
like
cactus.
I had my hair done yesterday for the first time since actually a year.
Wow,
It was a year.
it really looks good. You
Thank
look
you.
great.
And it's the only time it will ever look this good. So I'm like, let's record Tipsy Nerds. Take advantage of my hair.
If it takes one of us getting a haircut to like do something with this podcast, like yes, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. Like the things you don't do. Like it was one of those, I had a haircut appointment scheduled in
Mm-hmm.
March, and then everything in Arizona went in lockdown, like most places in March. And so it was canceled. And then like when things opened back up, I gave it some time, and then I wanted to go back. And the lady who had been cutting my hair quit because she
Oh
wanted to
no.
go to nursing school, which is great. But it was
Yeah.
like, and then my family, we did a pact of where no one's going to get their hair cut for a year just to see. Like it wasn't so bad for me because I had long hair, but both my husband and my husband has never gone in his entire life a year
Right.
without a haircut. And it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting. I'll just say that. You know,
That's how to describe this
I'm not
year.
going to say good, but we'll say
Hmm.
interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's that's really all that's happening here, Robyn.
Okay. Yeah. I
Waiting
mean, I
like
think
9 months to get a haircut. That's it. Like that's all.
I think it was it March when we recorded our last episode or April when we didn't really even know what this thing was going to be. And for all of those of you who are still with us and tuning in for this and haven't given up on us, we Natalie and I so badly wanted to keep doing Tipsy Nerds and having this fun energy,
Mhm.
but it was a hard year for everyone and us included for different reasons on top of COVID. And we couldn't deliver our show in that authentic, fun Tipsy Nerds way. So we just had to step back for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on that needed our attention and everyone's attention.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, but I've missed talking to you like a ton and
Me
nerding out
too.
about things. And we haven't had a ComicCon, so that's been driving me nuts too, because normally every month I would be somewhere with other sci-fi and fantasy nerds, talking about whatever,
Yeah.
the latest Marvel movie or whatever, Star Wars or something. We didn't have that, and that sucked
No.
bad.
One of the things I keep getting mad at people for, it's like some people are like, I want to go back to hugging people or shaking hands. And it's like, wear your damn mask because I want to go to Comic-Con. Like,
Exactly.
it's like,
Don't
like if
shake
nothing
anyone's
else.
freaking hand until
Right.
it's safe. Stay at least 6 feet away. Wear your friggin' mask. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of shit I want to do, and
Yeah.
definitely Comic Cons are some of them. Um, yeah, like I, you and I are both kind of hermit recluses. So, like being writers, we kind of like live a very solitary life where we spend a lot of time alone.
Yes.
And so just like kind of being at home wasn't really hard or different or weird for me. Um, but then when I do go out, like it's usually like events and, you're going to a concert or out to dinner or to a movie or to the theater or travel
Yeah.
Comic Cons, and to not have any of that and none of it on the horizon, it's been like really hard. But for me, my family's home and I love them, but
Yeah.
oh my Lord, like I have seen my husband more in 9 months that I haven't been in 10 years. It's like, shockingly, we're still together. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
I know, but there are moments where it's
Of
like,
course.
gosh, he's here again all
Yeah.
day, every day. And I'm sure he feels
It's,
the same way about me. Like,
well, it's kind of like one of those things. You said we're recluses, and we are, but I like being a recluse by choice. I don't like being a recluse because of a global pandemic. So I'm like a recluse, but I'm also a rebel. So like someone, and I take this very seriously. So I'm wearing my mask, I'm distancing, but it's the fact that I have to stay in. Suddenly I'm like, I hate this.
Yes.
Like before, when it's my choice, I'm like, cool, great. And now I'm just like, oh my God.
Robyn and I are kindred spirits of rebels
We
without
are.
cause. We really have no cause at all. We just
Zero cause.
we can't. We want to even
Nothing
more.
to do, nothing, nowhere to be.
Right.
I actually this year I have been living with my parents, and it's actually been really lovely. So, you know, at first I move in with them and the pandemic hits and I'm just like, what is happening? My life is over. And then I thought, like, how amazing that as the 30 something year old, I actually get to spend like this couple month chunk of time with these two people who I would never have gotten to spend this time with. And we've had fun. I mean, we get tired of each other, but I think that's one of the things I've tried to take from this is to be like how can I be like situationally grateful for certain elements? And so it's like I'm either ripping my hair out or I'm like meditating and be like, how can I be grateful?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my daughter is a senior in high school and she very much wants to go away for college. I think like a lot of people, like she really loves where we live and the warmth and all that. Who knows, she might come back here, but she wants to experience seasons and snow and like all that. So I anticipate that this time next year, you know, she'll be away. This year has been in a way a blessing in disguise, a gift of spending a lot of time with, if you have kids, you know, or parents, you know, your parents are up there in years, you know, it's like a bit of a gift to get to spend time with people, even when it's kind of driving you crazy. So, okay, but goals, 2021 goals. One of them is, okay, have you watched Queen's Gambit?
Yes, so good. Yeah.
Yeah, you liked it too, right?
Yes, and I know it's not sci-fi fantasy. I'm sorry, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought it up because it was one of the best things I've ever seen.
I agree. So,
Yeah.
so listeners, if you have not watched this show,
Mhm.
it's really like hard to describe. My husband and I watched it together. We were trying to describe it to my daughter, and she's looking at us like, why would you watch that? Because when you describe it, it's like, it doesn't really kind of sound like something that you'd want to see, but it's in a nutshell, listeners, if you haven't seen it, it's about a young woman. It starts when she's a child, orphaned, and she lives in an orphanage, and this janitor teaches her how to play chess. And she's like a Wile E. Coyote genius with chess. She can like really imagine all of the moves in her mind. And so this mini series takes it from when she's a child to on through a really big tournament. And there's something about it that's just so compelling, watching this young lady.
The acting is so good too.
The writing is fabulous. The acting is fabulous. It's set in the 60s. So there's also that sort of fun mod feel to it. And I was born in the late 60s, grew up in the 70s. So some of the like iconography, you know, I could kind of relate to, like, this reminds me of the music my parents were listening to when I was a little kid, or the furniture, the wallpaper. Oh my God, the ugly ass fucking wallpaper. They nailed that though. You know what I mean? Like
spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. But now goals. Okay. 2021, my goal is to beat my husband in chess. I don't know shit about chess. I have no patience, and I don't have enough focus to think much beyond about 30 seconds. But we're going to try.
And yet you decided to shape your goal for next year. It's like after 2021, why not set ourselves up for failure?
Exactly. Oh, failure. We've got plenty of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Suggestions for stories I've gotten this year.
Oh,
I could use that as my background. I could just put those behind me and it would frame this whole thing. So
me too. Apparently nobody wants phenomenal short horror stories. So we need to just do a podcast where we read our short horror stories and people can enjoy, at least we get them out there for somebody.
Yeah. I keep getting the wow, really great writing, great sensory detail. I mean, all these compliments, but no.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah. So why not add chess to it? I'm thinking chess and golf. Mainly what's going on here is I just want to whip my husband's ass in something that, that's really what's happening here.
Yeah. I think ping pong. I want to be like, the Queen's Gambit girl of ping pong. I'm starting a little late. I don't have, I have the wrong setting, but if maybe next year, that's my goal, is to beat somebody really good at ping pong. So listeners, if any of you are really good at ping pong, and you happen to be in the Utah area next year and the pandemic is gone, let's play.
So have you, other than Queen's Gambit, have you binged watched anything or have any movies that you've just loved?
So I even had to write these down. I have tried to do so much this year. Just a few things, listeners, to throw some personal stuff out. I got a divorce this year. I got diagnosed with celiac disease. So I've been sad and sick a lot of the time. And I found my focus has been really difficult. So I have started so many things and I can't finish them. I binge watched Sex Education, which is also not science fiction fantasy, but phenomenal. It's a British comedy show.
Called Sex Education?
Sex Education, so good. It's a high school student whose mom is a sex therapist, and basically he starts doing sex therapy sessions for high school students who are like paying him in bathroom stalls to help them with relationship problems. But really great. Yeah, it's great. The acting is great. The characters are so rich and good. And it's on Netflix. So another one I recommend. I tried to get into The Dark Crystal, which was canceled after one season, I think, but I was such a big fan of the movie from the 80s. And I just was really disappointed in the Netflix show. So I didn't finish it. I don't know if you tried to watch that.
I did not. It's not really, it's kind of like post my time. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like age-wise.
The original shaped my whole writing experience. I mean, it shaped my entire first trilogy. And so they took out one of the main pieces of good and evil, and it fell apart for me. I watched Cursed. Maybe I don't know if we talked about Cursed. It's like the retelling of the King Arthur legend with the young woman. It's cool, it's young, it's a retelling, it's diverse. I really enjoyed it from that standpoint. There's some magic. You have Merlin, who's this like drunk alcoholic. You have King Arthur, who's this teenage Black man. I just really liked, I liked the diversity that they included in it, that they're doing in a lot of new shows. I tried to do The Mandalorian. Natalie and I have talked about this, and you guys are going to just hate me for this, but I just got bored. I know it's good. And Baby Yoda is the cutest thing I've ever seen. But it was like the same story every episode. And I think I was also offended because I work so hard to write. And it's like, nobody will buy it, but we can watch the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Repetitive storyline ever. And we all love it because Baby Yoda is so cute. Now, that being said, I'm sure it's probably a great show. I know it harkens back to the original Star Wars days, and that tugs on a lot of heartstrings. I just felt like I wanted something more from it. So
I actually haven't watched it.
Oh, okay.
So I've been
we need to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Like at another episode.
Yeah. So those are all great suggestions. Curse sounds like something I really want to watch, and my daughter might like that. And
your daughter would love it too.
Yeah. For some reason, my husband and I both really like King Arthur stuff. It doesn't really matter what format it's in or, So we're always up for a King Arthur retelling. So that sounds fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm totally into Vikings right now because we watched The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you've watched
The
that.
movie.
It is a series, and I think it's on Netflix. It's I believe, I want to say it's a BBC production, but it could be a Canadian production. But anyway, The Last Kingdom. It's loosely about Alfred the Great and Vikings. So, the guy who is, I'm really bad with names and I cannot remember the dude's name who plays the main character, but again, it kind of starts when he's young and we see like his formative, moment. And then we go to when he's a young man and he's friggin' hot. So there's that. And there's a little bit of magic in it, like witchcraft, sort of black magic, curses, things like that. But it's, it's set in like our world, only in medieval times. So it's kind of like the conflict between Alfred the Great of Wessex and Vikings and all these alliances. And it's sort of, historical because it's based on loosely like real things that happened, but it's, it's loose with that. So very compelling, good drama, and a little bit more like, I think, true to life to what it was to go a Viking, which is a verb, not a, we all talk about Vikings like they're one monolithic people, but it was more of a verb to go a Viking than it was like a specific people. Yeah. So, but the people that came from other places and, their sort of lifestyle, it was a little bit more realistic to that than some things. None of them were wearing like the horned helmets and all that kind of shit. So
with their hammer of Thor and
exactly. Although I do like the hammer of Thor. Give me
I do too. Yeah.
I'm so into that, but this wasn't that. Yeah. So that was good. And then The Witcher, which I know I've talked about before, but my God, it's so friggin' good. I love it. And Henry Cavill, I follow him on Instagram, and I
do too, because you told me to follow him. So I haven't watched the show, but I follow him on Instagram.
Because he's cute. And he seems like a nice human being. So, and he likes animals. So checks all the boxes. So anyway, The Witcher, and gosh, I don't know what else. Oh, okay. So Assassin's Creed, their newest release came out, which is Valhalla, which is like, people from Norway, and this character goes a Viking to England. So again, it's sort of like that time period, but you play it in a video game, and it is one of the best video games I've ever played. If you like role-playing games and you like the world is huge. So that's been fun.
Cool.
So like when you're stuck at home, I've been having a hard time focusing on reading. So that's part of why we're not talking about books, because I pick up books and I'm kind of having that, like, I've picked up 3 or 4 books that like is on everybody's to read list in the sci-fi and fantasy realm, books even by people who are winning awards. And I'm like, I can't get past 30 pages.
Yeah.
Because like if I was an acquisitions editor, I never would have bought this book in the first place. Like, for example, like it's got a great first line, maybe even a good first chapter, but then it literally falls apart. Like there's no character development. There's no setup for any, there's no hint of a goal. And I guess being a story editor, I'm too jaded. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't have all those elements I expect in like a first package, I just am like, pitch it and move on. So it's really sad when you that I can't find any like good books I want to read. But
I just really I'm in the same boat. I even started to read the new Twilight. I started to read the new Hunger Games, and I just couldn't, like, they're probably great. It's just whatever's wrong with my brain right now. But what I have dived into like head first, which makes sense for people, is I have discovered on YouTube that there are like 10-minute super deep dives into really specific questions within like the fandom. So I've been in this like Lord of the Rings, like deep dark tunnels, like what happened to the blue wizards, watching like a 15-minute video on a discussion on the blue wizards. When did Saruman turn evil? Numenor explained, like, are all orcs evil? And I literally spend like, I don't know, hours a day watching Middle Earth history. I bought Middle Earth for Dummies, and it's the only book I'm able to read. Like, I think I finally like snapped my lid, and I'm just like, I'm like watching parts 1, 2, and 3 of the Dark Lord Melkor explained, and so I'm not really watching Netflix. I'm not really reading, but I'm somehow like taking my self-proclaimed Tolkien experthood and like trying to get a master's or PhD in it. So that's what I've done this year. Is just, but these people on YouTube also discuss like Game of Thrones and, Westworld and The Witcher, and they have created these beautifully graphic videos. And so I've sort of left Netflix for like content creators on YouTube who are just making really great nerd fandom.
Yeah, my daughter, that's like, that really is her entire entertainment, is that
Yeah.
sort of thing, like what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've sort of like not allowed myself to go there because I could maybe like get down a dark hole and never come back.
Yes.
I have been writing. It's been, like slow going, and then, someone says, well, yeah, but does your story really go anywhere after you've written like 130,000 words? And you go, not really, not really, not really. So you
Yeah.
chunk all of it and you start over. So, it's like,
That's not what you've done, I hope.
oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, pretty much.
Oh God.
I think I kept the first paragraph, maybe, but yeah, pretty much chucked it. And it's all going to be better. But when you're writing an epic fantasy, like the deep dive you're doing, I have to keep having to do it with my own book because like I've created so much shit, I don't even remember where I am anymore. Like, what was the name of that town, and where was that bird,
Yeah.
and what was that animal I created? Like.
I have a spreadsheet now that I've made in Excel that has like language, culture, geography, plants, animals. And so because I was doing the same thing, and I was like, come on, Robyn, like you can be more organized. But I also found these YouTube videos were helpful in that because I'm like going through, the Silmarillion and Tolkien's whole world building thing. And I'm like, why do I not have that? And it's a cool thing because I'm like, oh, add not, the exact same things, but it's like, well, I don't have an explanation for why this is this. And not
right.
that necessarily needs to go into it, but how much richer does that make it? Just me knowing it and maybe slipping something in there about it. But
Right.
and then figuring out how to keep track of it is another thing.
Yeah, keeping track is hard. Yeah, I have a variety of ways of keeping track, but everyone has to, whatever works for them. But
Yeah.
But I'm a huge fan of like, for me, the story has come first. When you and I have talked about books, sometimes there's a book where it's like, okay, this is all world building. That's all nice, but where's the story? And so
Yes.
I'm such like a stickler for the story that what happened with me, and this is all okay, like as part of the process. And my process is messy and ugly, and like I don't recommend it to anyone because it like takes forever. But I, in a way, like how I think is to write.
Yeah.
Like, I think by writing. So I have to sort of like write out a whole bunch of stuff. Even like with characters, like backstories, I'll write like 20, 30,000 words of just shit that's happened to them that will never be anything and isn't worth anyone ever seeing. But it's how I noodle out my world and my stuff. I do other things, you know what I'm saying? But like, I had to write like basically a whole book to realize that like, I'm now writing my 7th book, and it's taken me this long to realize that essentially every book that I write has to have what I call the band of misfits. It is the group that's going to get my character through, and I assemble them. Well, in this particular story, I didn't realize I needed to do that like apparently I can't write a story without that, and I had assembled them through the book. But the problem was it's a little boring that way, right? Because it's like they're just, I don't know, it was a little boring. So once I finally had my band of misfits, I'm like, oh, okay, hello, little band of misfits, now let's introduce you earlier. so that readers can enjoy all of the camaraderie of the band of misfits earlier on. And I'm finding that it's much more enjoyable as I'm writing it, because it's like, oh, hey, here's the Joker character. You have all these archetypes and they're all there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So it's fun. But
so taking your writing stuff, like, I know one of your goals for next year is to beat your husband at chess.
But really, what is anything? He's so competitive and he's like really good at everything.
Yeah.
But I almost got him the other day. I took one of his pieces and he didn't see it coming. And I love the look on his face when it's just like he's terrible at poker. Like he has no poker face. So I'm like, I want to see more.
That was victorious enough just to see the look.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Huh. So what is a writing? Okay, what is like a writing goal you have for next year?
I have none. No, it's just to beat him at chess.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I have been writing my current story in some fashion for about 4 years, and so I would really like to finish it. And so I have gotten some really good feedback on the first pieces of it from some folks who are in the publishing realm. So I am hopeful for it. So but I can't submit it to people until it's done. So I can't sell a book that isn't finished.
Exactly. Yep. I think that's my goal too, because I started this 3 or 4 years ago, and I've been editing the same chapter now for about 3 weeks, and I do about 3 sentences a day, and then I have to go take a nap. So my goal is to just snap out of 2020, all of it, snap that brain out, and wake up on January 1st. I don't know if this is how it works, but I'm going to go for it and just be better at reading, watching Netflix shows, texting my friends back, responding to emails, and writing and editing. So that's my goal.
I see this on Twitter. There's kind of a trend right now where people are talking about stop. They're sick of people counting their accomplishments for 2020 and doing the typical oh, it's a new year, let's be amazing, and talking about all their accomplishments. This one woman says something like, I've sat in my house, worn a mask, and baked about a fuck ton of cookies. That's all I've done this year. So shut up. And I related to that so hard. I'm like, Robyn, not only have we had, the pandemic, but some people like yourself have gone through a lot of personal things. And I think for 2020, all of us should just have as a win that we're still here.
I posted that on Instagram. If all you did was survive.
Right, exactly. And this is a fun show, but we don't light of anything, because my one of my good friends from law school, just after Thanksgiving, I think a day or two after Thanksgiving, her mom was in the hospital on a ventilator. And a few days later, one of my husband's good friends from high school, both of these people are in Ohio, by the way, his mom was on a ventilator.
Oh no.
And we have had multiple friends, good friends of ours, whose parents have passed away this year from COVID. The only reason probably that I haven't had any of our parents pass away is because they've all already died a few years back of other things. But it's, a lot of people are suffering terribly this year from losing loved ones prematurely to a terrible disease. And they all, of course, are going alone. My friend could not go see her mom. And so her mom is sitting in a hospital all by herself in an ICU. It's just terrible. And so hopefully, the vaccine is on the way, but I just hope people continue to take it seriously and to remain safe until so that, and then as we move into next year, we're still kind of in that zone where, don't beat yourselves up if, if you're not getting as many things done as you think you should get done, because it's been it's a hard time.
It is, and for everyone. And I think it's, it's easy too to fall into that thing of, well, he's had it worse, or she's had, like, to put us on the spectrum of who's had a worse year. And it's like, it doesn't matter if, I mean, it does, but like, there's people who have had to deal with death, and that's horrible. And they definitely have had,
Right.
I mean, I'm so sad for all of them.
Yeah.
But I'm also sad for the high school students who like couldn't walk at graduation. I'm also sad for the people whose relationships fell apart, who did, it's like,
Right.
I think, the best thing we can do this year is, most people have been pretty, I think, kind and generous to others with their own struggles, but like, I think people have been really hard on themselves. And so it's like,
that's true.
Yeah. So being
I
kind to yourself, I think, is like one of the biggest things to take from this year, and myself included. I need to listen to that advice.
Yeah, I actually, I've had some health issues in the past, but this year I've just really tried to be healthy. That's been one of my things I've spent more time on, and it's been a struggle. But I just keep at it, because I'm like, something about the pandemic made me think, okay, I don't need that shit too, on top of whatever other bullshit I'm dealing with, because I'm not taking care of myself. So I've actually spent a lot more time, going for walks, meditating, cooking. We've been cooking because you can't go out to restaurants. So we've been cooking like a ton, and cooking our own food. And, so it wasn't like a conscious thing, like, oh, we're going to do this. It just sort of like happened. And that's been good. But yeah, like treating yourself with, care is really important. I hope all of our listeners have been staying safe and staying well. And so Robyn, I think to let our listeners know, we are probably going to be changing the format a little bit of our show. We're probably going to be doing more videos like this one. The audio will go on the podcast feed. The videos then will be on YouTube. We'll probably post them to social media as well. Sometimes we'll do live things. We didn't get that together for this one, but in the future we might announce ahead a live show, and you will stream that live. We're likely going to do shows once a month, just because, again, with all that we're dealing with in our lives, we want to be able to bring you content, but like doing it every week or every other week even isn't necessarily going to happen. And then we may or may not be talking about books. We'll definitely talk about nerdy stuff. This show isn't necessarily that you're watching right now or you're listening to right now isn't necessarily typical of what we're going to be doing, where right now we're just kind of like catching up. It's just me and Robyn catching up, and we're inviting you in. But the future shows, we may be talking about shows, Netflix shows, or things on Amazon or whatever, or Hulu. We may talk about books. The thing about the Queen's Gambit, Robyn, is that there is a book that's based on. And I thought it could be fun if we read the book, because I'm intrigued.
That actually could be cool.
Yeah. And then, and then, but we're going to be mixing it up, but our show is still obviously for the sci-fi and fantasy nerds out there. I want to hear Robyn do a tutorial after all of her deep diving on the Lord of the Rings.
I was just going to say, like, can I please put together, like, can we please have an episode where I walk everyone through a 30 minutes, whatever our time frame is, of the entire history of Middle Earth and the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings in 30 minutes, see if I can do it. But like what Natalie said, we want to come back. We had to take this year off and kind of differently just to stay well ourselves. But we want to come back. We miss each other. We miss you guys. We miss nerding out. And we figured the best way to make it sustainable for us is to do it once a month instead and change up the format. We hope everyone stays with us with it. It'll be fun. We're excited to read lots of things, watch lots of things, drink, talk, have fun.
I'm even thinking about the possibility of, if we have Zoom and I can record it, we can invite more, we can have up to 100 people. I mean, how
exactly.
would it be to have like all of our listeners in on a Zoom call?
Totally. I
I
miss
know
Courtney.
everything's zoomed out. I get that. I'm not, because like I've done it maybe 5 times in the past year, but like some people are on Zoom all day long. But I promise you, if we Zoom, it will be drinking, it will be nerding out, and it will be much more fun than a business meeting. And you don't even have to wear pants. Pants are optional.
I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah. So pants are optional. You only have to, we don't want to see your junk. We really don't.
No.
We don't want to see anyone's stuff. No, but, and I don't want to hear about it either, really.
I have pants on. I feel the need to.
Part of you not wearing them, by the way, just if that's your thing, Robyn.
Totally. I know. There's times I may not, but right now I do. But yeah, that would be fun. And we would post like what we're going to talk about ahead of time. So if we talk about The Witcher, everybody who's seen The Witcher or wants to see it can watch it and then join us for more of an interactive. I mean, what we wanted was always a book club. This might be a nerddom club. But yeah, so we don't exactly know what it is, but that's sort of where we're at in the world anyway, right? Nobody knows what anything's going to look like going forward. So Tipsy Nerds is joining that, and we are going to be the new and improved post 2020 Tipsy Nerds.
Right. We'll just roll with it.
Yeah. We hope you'll roll with us.
Yes. Our 2 listeners. I always love talking to you and seeing you.
It's so much fun. Yes, it's good for my soul.
Okay, Robyn. Well, we'll talk soon. And Tipsy Nerds until next time. Cheers.
Cheers.